Hey guys, good morning. Happy Sunday morning, everyone. Just got to say before we start off this presentation about the object relationships and looking at them with Schema Builder and everything. Timberwolves made a valiant effort, but lost yesterday in the state championship. That's all good though. It's a good experience. Not too bad for a school with only 1,000 kids competing there with all the other AAA schools. So shameless plug-in for my Timberwolves. I'll try to work in some Star Wars and other random stuff into my presentation today too. Anyway, I did want to talk about, do a quick review of what object relationships are. I saw them a lot on the admin exam and stuff, and I couldn't quite remember what the differences between lookup relationships were and master detail, and they said something about Schema Builder. So I'm like, okay, well, what better way to learn it than just go ahead and make a presentation on it? So I did. I looked it all up and did some research and went to Success Community and reviewed some trails, and here's what I got. So let's share my screen and roll. We'll start with the little PowerPoint I threw together first. All right, so here we go. Reviewing objects and relationships with Schema Builder. All right, so let's do a quick review of what a relationship is. Really, it's just a field that links two objects together, right? There's an example of this that when you're clicking on the account, we'll show this in a quick screenshot of this, but when you're clicking on accounts, and contacts will also pop up too, and you create a new contact on the account thing, right? So relationships can also be, you have standard relationships, which we'll look at in the Schema Builder and stuff too, and you can have custom relationships too. And there's also three types of relationships that we're going to look at. All right, so here's that example I was talking about. So you have, you're on your account here of Edge Communications too, and but you can also see contacts that are associated with that account, right? So that's kind of what the relationships look like in Salesforce. Let's go, right? All right. So, and that was also called a lookup relationship, right? You just look up one object from another with the related items from the related items tab, right? There's a couple different ways that these lookup relationships can work, that you can look up one object to another. You can have a one-to-one relationship or one-to-many relationships, which is like that account to contact is a one-to-many relationship, right? There can be many contacts associated with an account, as we saw back here on the screen. All right, so then our second type of relationship, then, so that one's pretty basic. I think the Trailhead even called it the casual lookup relationship, right? So now we get to the big one, the master detail relationship, right? So I always think that if Darth Vader was a Salesforce admin, man, he would always do the master detail relationships because he wants complete control, right? He wants the master. He wants to be the master of everything and set up all the objects to relate back to him. All right, so there's my cheesy one-liner. I wanted to work Star Wars in there somehow, and I did it. I'm good now. All right, so one object is the master that just controls everything in the relation, that controls most of the details in the relationship, right? And then you have another object, that's the detail. So the master does define certain behaviors of that detail, right? Such as who can view it or something like that, right? So one of the limitations of this, though, that detail is entirely dependent on the master, though. And if you delete the master records, then it's going to delete the detail records, right? So remember, master detail relationship, two objects, one's master, one's detail. All right, so what in the world? Which one do you want to use and when, right? So you want to use lookup relationships when objects are only related in some cases, right? Such as this contact and account, right? The contacts can stand alone from an account, and an account can stand alone from the contact, kind of, right? So they can both stand together. Sometimes you can have an account contacts that are not associated with an account. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Asking questions like you guys are there and can communicate back with me. But but the master detail objects, so the master detail objects, the detail objects cannot stand alone. They are totally dependent on the master member. And remember, like I said too, if you delete the master object records, then all the detail records will go as well. No, just a little quick detail on that. You create the relationship field on the detail object. If you want to create a master detail relationship, make sure you create the relationship field on the detail object. All right. So there's also kind of a third relationship too, which I was real fuzzy about, and I'm not sure if this will be on the admin exam or not, but the trail mentioned it briefly, and I noticed it in the schema builder. It's called the hierarchical relationships, right? So I had to go to the success community and try to figure out what exactly that was, because it was pretty fuzzy and vague in the trail. So it's a special, it is kind of like a lookup relationship with special relationship. It's only available for the user objects, right? So I'm like, well, what on earth would you use this for? So most people were talking about if you make custom hierarchies outside the traditional role hierarchy, right? So you got permissions, you got your role hierarchy. And if you want to do something like if you have like a special committee or something like that, where you want some kind of, and this is mostly used for approval process. So if you have like a special committee that wants to approve something, that then you would use this kind of hierarchical relationship thing. So it's a traditional role hierarchy basically is not appropriate for this for an approval process. Then you can use the hierarchical relationships. All right, real fast. So that was a quick review of what relationships are. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's not too much to do. So let's talk real quick about Schema Builder. It really is a great visual representation of this relationships and the data modeling, right? How do they all relate? And we'll go look at this here. But two quick things I want to tell you about. So Elements tab. So what's beautiful and I love about the Schema Builder is you can build objects and custom fields on the objects right in Schema Builder, right? You got this nice visual representation and you want to throw in another object. Oh yeah, I want to do this. You could build out your whole org. I might, if I was starting something from scratch, I probably would start in Schema Builder and build it all in there, right? At least in my sandbox org or the dev org, right? And you also have a objects tab, which is, it shows you that visual representation of how all the objects relate to each other. All right, so let's go play. All right, it's playtime. Okay. I hope that PowerPoint did well in Zoom. Oh, no. Let's go here and get on. All right. So we're now in the Cunning Goat playground. So it has plenty of custom objects. I try to do all the trails I do in there. Cunning Goat's only failed me a couple times. And trail challenges, right? Okay. So get the Schema Builder, right? Because that's what we want to do. We're going to review object relationship Schema Builder. Let's go to Setup. And it's real hard to find Schema Builder. It's got Schema. How about Schema Builder? All right, so just type in Schema Builder in there. Okay. So here is our Schema Builder. And let's zoom out a little bit so we get a little better look here. All right, so I got the account object up right now. So let's look at that Elements tab first too. Elements. This is where you can actually build. I think Schema Builder is powerful enough just as a visual representation to actually be able to build objects and stuff. You can do that. So you just drag a new object. Man, if you want to make another object, here's where you can do it. I don't know if whatever you want to make, right? So we're making that battle station, the Death Star, right? So how about let's make a Sun Crusher, right? I think that's from the Force Awakens. There's my Star Wars stuff again. Shameless plug-in. I swear I'm not getting paid by them, right? So anyways, if we wanted to make a custom object, we could do that, right? So we'll make this a Sun Crusher and Sun Crushers. And anyway, so we could always do that there. So we have now made an object. So you can definitely make objects on that. Let's go ahead and hide that, right? So, and you can also, if making objects wasn't powerful enough too, you can also add custom fields to this, right? You got everything, right? You got your lookup field, hierarchy, so you can make the different fields, the pick list, right? So we got the account object already pulled up over here. So let's say, let's make if we want to throw a pick list on there and say, account hot, is this account value or something, right? If it had So the description was, how much potential does this account have, right? So you're talking about, you have an account that could be as a real small business that, we're only doing some small ordering from, your generator company, they might only order one generator, every 20 years or something, So you probably want to add a value then. So, you got a small, and then you got medium value one, that's one that might buy one or two generators from a year. Then you got your big distributors, right? You could buy, sell up to 100 things a year to them, right? And so anyways, we wanted to do that. You can make custom fields right on the objects. Pretty neat. All right. So that's the elements tab, right? And then let's go back to the objects. All right. So we're going to talk about relationships. All right. So you can even, let's kind of filter this list down, right? I got all objects selected now, but I'm in my playground, so I got tons of custom objects. So let's talk about standard relationships first, right? So here is our standard objects. Let's accounts. And I can't remember what account is exactly related to, right? So I'm going to pick a couple of random things here. Let's see. It might be related to asset, right? Oh, yep. And look, it's got a bunch of one-to-many relationships, right? This means one-to-many, one that has like that. There's a little, let's zoom in here. Little circle and the multiple lines coming to it. And look, if you're not quite sure, look, yep, there's a lookup relationship between asset to account. Now, look over here, you got a little legend, right? So here's your lookup relationships and master detail relationships in required field. So there is no master or detail relationship here between account and asset. However, there's this thing. We're like, well, what is that? Oh, it's a hierarchy account, right? So we're like, well, what exactly is that hidden to? If you go down here to show more fields, you get a little scroll box, and yep. So there's the parent account that they have the hierarchical relationship with. So anyways, I think this is also a really great way to help study for the admin exam because all those standard relationships, right? You can probably do this in like, well, let's see. Is account related to case? And yes, it is. It's also related to case. Now, here's a weird thing. So sometimes they'll just drop this stuff in randomly. Let me show you a little trick here. If you just go to auto layout, it'll kind of like pull this in again, right? So, and we noticed now that account definitely does have a lookup relationship to account. Case has a lookup relationship to account. What else? I bet we knew already about contact, right? That was our example. So we know there was a lookup relationship, a one-to-many, right? So here is if you follow this line, here is a one-to-many relationship between accounts and contacts. And let's see, what else is there? Maybe an email message, maybe? Yep, your email message definitely has relationships with account. And there it is right there. Email to account. How about an entitlement? Oh, now look at this. Now we got a red line, right? So that is the master detail relationship. So the account is the master of the entitlement account, as we can see right there, right? So let's see. So we kind of know that, right? Let's find something. I'm not sure. How about campaign, right? Is campaign related to account? So let's throw campaign in there, and we see sometimes they throw these in funky places. Look, campaign actually is not related to an account, right? So we can see that it is not related, right? So hopefully that's going to be on the admin exam, and I just told you guys an answer. Something random like that, right? All right. So that's kind of like our standard objects, right? So I'm sure account is also, of course, associated with more objects like opportunity, right? So accounts is definitely associated with opportunity. Yeah, right there's probably multiple. Yeah. I'll look up relationship from opportunity to accounts. But look now, not only can you see accounts, but you also see, look, opportunity is also related to email, right? In case, whoa, I don't have my mouse there. And contacts also has a relationship with assets, right? So this shows you all kinds of neat stuff. And remember, if it always gets kind of clunky, auto layout's pretty good. Sometimes we'll drop things on top of each other, but not always. So anyway, so that's all that. So let's look at some custom objects real fast, right? And so let's come over here. And let's remember that battle station, right? So we got the battle station. And that already has a relationship to one of our standard objects, to the email message system, right? So, and I think, we had resources, right? Oh, look, there's a resource. Remember, we created that resource for the battle station, and also supply, right? Yep. And look, what kind of relationships are these? They're master detail relationships. All right. So I think that is all I wanted to show you guys about the schema builder and relationships. Hopefully that was a good review, and I know there's a couple questions on the practice exam that this would have covered. So I hope to hopefully they will be on the admin exam too, and didn't waste your time or anything. But anyway, uh, pardon the annoying Star Wars jokes too. I will talk to you guys later and see you guys in the webinars and everything. Just have a wonderful Sunday and see you tomorrow. Bye.